Welcome back to another episode of Sports-Fixx. I am your host, Carson Becker, and I'm here with more of a special edition of Sports-Fixx here. I'm going to be talking about the college football playoff rankings, which came out last night, my reaction to the rankings, and who I think would win the games that are set up and how they're set up right now. So I'll get straight into that with my reaction to the rankings from last night. I think they did a pretty good job for the most part with the rankings. Not too many complaints here. I did think Texas A&M should be 2 and Indiana should drop to 3 after Indiana kind of struggled with Penn State a little bit. So I think that was one big change I would have made. But other than that, they made pretty good changes. BYU did drop out of the rankings, which I thought was the right decision there after they got kind of embarrassed in Texas at Texas Tech. So I think that was a good decision. UVA losing on Saturday also dropped them out of the rankings, and Texas and Miami jump into the playoff rankings now. So we now have Ohio State at 1, obviously, Indiana at 2, Texas A&M at 3, Alabama at 4. So top 4 teams stay the same, like you guys all know probably at this point. You have Georgia at 5, Texas Tech at 6, Ole Miss at 7, Oregon sitting at 8 now, Notre Dame sitting at 9, Texas sitting at 10, Miami sitting at 11, and USF, the Power 5 team, sitting at 12. So, pretty good rankings for right now. I like how they set it up right now. I like Texas jumping in. I like Miami jumping in there as well. So, we all know the ACC is still going to be very crazy throughout the rest of the season. So, we'll kind of see how that turns out. But other than that, no real complaints from how the committee made their rankings. Texas A&M 2 instead of Indiana, but that's fine. That'll probably work itself out anyway by the end of the season, so we'll see. And there's still a lot of season left, so now getting down to who I think would win each game based on these rankings. I'll start off first with 12 versus 5, USF versus Georgia. I think we all kind of know how that game's going to go. And according to Josh Pate and the books, FanDuel, I believe he used, the spread would be 17.5. Georgia would be 17.5 point favorites in that game. I think that's pretty accurate. I think Georgia would win probably by a good 20 points or so. So I think that would not really be a great game in the first round, but we're not expecting, I don't think anybody's really expecting too much from the 12 seed, the Power 5 team that gets in to do much in the playoffs. So not much trouble there. So I'm not really worried about that game, but that would be the first game. Then I'll go to 11 versus 6. You got Miami versus Texas Tech. I think this could be a great game. Miami has been kind of struggling this year. They had a couple ups and downs. Carson Beck's had a couple ups and downs. They have a couple more chances to win a couple more games. They're probably out of the ACC championship, I would think, at this point, based on how many teams are ahead of them, but I'm not sure. Texas Tech also playing very well, coming off that great BYU win. Obviously not at this point, and they would have Texas Tech as a home favorite by 5 points in this one, and I think I would give this one to Texas Tech. I would have Texas Tech moving on to play Texas A&M in the next round. Then you go to 10 versus 7. You got Texas versus Ole Miss. I think this would also be a great game. Both teams playing really well. Arch Manning, Texas peaking at the right time. If they continue to play how they're playing, I think they go in and win this one in Ole Miss. And I think Texas moves on to play Indiana in the next round. So I don't know if Ole Miss can get it done. They've kind of just been playing their schedule. They've played really well. They still only have the one loss to Georgia, so they've played really well all season. But it's almost that aspect of who peaks at the right time, who is playing well at the right time, kind of like Ohio State. They lost to Michigan right before the playoffs, didn't play in a Big Ten championship, and then right into the playoffs, they came out firing right away and really took it all the way to the national championship. I think that's kind of where Texas is at. If they continue to win the rest of the season, of course, I think they'll kind of be in a good spot there for them to go and win this game at Ole Miss. Ole Miss would be 4-point home favorites in this game, so I would take Texas to go and win this one, but that would be another great game in the first round. And then you go to the 9 versus 8. You got Notre Dame versus Oregon. Like I said in yesterday's episode, Oregon has not impressed me that much this year. It looked like a really good win in Happy Valley in overtime. Then they go and lose to Indiana, who has now struggled against Penn State and never really, I mean, they impressed me for most of the season, but still haven't really played too many good teams, so we don't really know how good they are. I think it's kind of like last year where once they play a good team, they're gonna lose. So I don't know. I don't like Oregon in this sense, and Notre Dame has been playing really well. They still only have the 2 losses to really good teams, losing to a Texas A&M team, and so I think I'm gonna take Notre Dame in this one. I know you guys know how I feel about Notre Dame, but I will take Notre Dame in this one over Oregon. Oregon would be 1.5 point favorites in that one as well, but I do think I would go towards Notre Dame. Just been a little more impressive to me than Oregon. Move on to the second round where we'd get a rematch of 4 versus 5 Alabama versus Georgia from earlier in the season. That was a great game in Georgia, in Athens. They would have a chance at revenge. I've said it many times, it's really hard to beat a team twice in the same year. Alabama would have to do that in this sense, and I don't know, can they do it? It would be a neutral site, so no team with too much of an advantage there. But I think I am going to pick the team to win twice. Alabama moves on, beats Georgia in another classic Alabama-Georgia game. Then we would get 3 versus 6. We'd get Texas A&M versus Texas Tech, a Texas on Texas matchup. In-state rivalry game there. I think it would be a great game as well. I don't know if Texas Tech can keep up with this Texas A&M team, Marcel Reed, that offense. If they continue to keep playing how they're playing at the moment, I think they continue that into the playoff, and I think they beat Texas Tech. So I have Texas A&M moving on to the next round. Then we would have the 2-seed Indiana versus the 10-seed Texas. And like I said, Indiana played pretty well this year. They have a good win against Oregon, who, like I said, hasn't been that impressive, but they did go to Eugene. They struggled against a Penn State team, and obviously these rankings are going to change. These rankings can't stay like this. Well, they could, but they can't. They won't stay like this. So I don't know if Indiana will even be in the 2 spot here, but Ohio State played that Penn State team, and it was close to the first half, and then they dominated them in the second half. I was expecting that from Indiana. It didn't happen. I think Texas continues to ride that momentum that they've taken into the playoff here at this point, and they get a win against Indiana, and Texas moves on to play Texas A&M in the next round. So give me Texas in that one. Next, we'd have number 1 Ohio State versus number 9 Notre Dame. National championship rematch from last year. Would be a great game. C.J. Carr, freshman quarterback, lost 2 early games, but has really put together a pretty good season since then. Notre Dame, one thing about them, they don't play in the conference, so they haven't played too many. I mean, they played 2 really good teams at the beginning of the year. I'll give them that, absolutely. But since then, they haven't really played too many good teams. Are they really ready for it? Can the freshmen live up to their standard that they need against one of the best defenses we've seen in college football? I don't think so. Ohio State moves on. So we get down to the Final Four. We would have number 1 Ohio State versus number 4 Alabama. And then we'd have number 3 Texas A&M versus number 10 Texas in a rematch game that they would have from the regular season. So 2 really great matchups here. And we'd have a rematch in Texas A&M and Texas. And I'll start with that game. Really hard to beat a team twice. Depending on who wins that regular season matchup is going to sway my decision a little bit in this one. I already picked Alabama to beat a team twice this year. It's very hard to do because you kind of know what you're expecting from the other team. You got to make the right changes. You got to do the right stuff. I do have Texas A&M staying undefeated and going to the SEC championship, so that would have them beating Texas in the regular season. I think this would be a great game. I think Texas A&M, if they continue to play how they have been playing, I think they win this game as well. So I think I'm going to choose them to win twice again. another team to beat a team twice, which is very hard to do, but I think they're just better than this Texas team. Texas has peaked at the right time, but if you think about it, Texas going back to the national championship, and if Ohio State was to win against Alabama, that would be a rematch from last year's playoff as well, which was a great game there. But I think I'm going to take Texas A&M in this one, and then an Ohio State Alabama game. Two great teams. You guys know I grew up an Ohio State fan, went to Alabama, became an Alabama fan. Seems like a conflict of interest here. I don't know if I could choose which team I would actually pick to win or more of want to win, but we'll see. I would love to see this game. It would be a great game, especially this year with one of the best defenses, and Alabama always finding ways to win. They have one of the best offenses, but I think I'm actually out of time here on this episode, so I'll see you guys tomorrow, and I'll continue this later. No, I'm just kidding. But like I said, best defense in the country. Alabama has a great offense, really good defense as well, not taking anything away from their defense. But I think I'm going to go with historically, defenses have won championships in college football. It's just a stat. You can look it up. And so I think I'm going to take Ohio State's historic defense to win this one. And a very close game, a very great game. It would be a fantastic, fantastic game. So we got Ohio State versus Texas A&M in the national championship. Would be another great game to a great playoff as well. Texas A&M playing at a very high level. Marcel Reed. Ohio State's defense playing at a high level. Their offense, we haven't really seen them turn their offense completely on. They would need that in the Alabama game if they did come to play. They would need that in this game as well. But I think I would take the historical defense again in this one, picking Ohio State to win the Natty if this is how the playoff was ranked. Now, obviously, these rankings are going to change. These teams aren't going to be in the same seeds. Some of these teams might not even play. But based on these rankings right now, with how teams are playing at the moment, I think I would take Ohio State to win this playoff national championship. So that would be my prediction. Now, this is showing that Ohio State beats Michigan at the end of the year. If they lose to Michigan, that's going to change my answer a whole lot, because then I think maybe they struggle against a really good team in the playoff. It's very hard to win back-to-back national championships, too. So that's another thing with Ohio State winning the national championship. I don't necessarily love the pick at the moment, but for right now, I think that's got to be my pick for the national championship based on these rankings. And so, what do you guys think? Do you guys like my predictions? Do you guys hate them? Leave them in the comments what you think of my predictions, what you guys think is going to be based on these rankings, who would win a national championship, who would win these particular games, and whatever else you guys want to leave in the comments. You can hate on me in the comments, whatever you want to do, for picking my team to win the national championship. But I just think, historically, defense has won championships in college football, so I got to go with one of the best defenses we've ever seen in college football. So, also, I have a new Twitter where I'll be posting news about the podcast, new episodes dropping, and just other sports news. So go give me a follow at Sports-Fixx on Twitter, and it's in the YouTube channel if you want to find it there. But that's all I have for this special episode of Sports-Fixx. I am Carson Becker, and I will see you next time.